Thank you.
The next one is the Waikura Linwood-Central-Heathcote Community Board. Sally Barr. Welcome. Oh, and Alexandra Davids as well.
Good morning, Mayor and Councillors. I'd just like to introduce my Deputy Chairperson here, Alexandra Davids. And we have two new members on our board whose names are Michelle Lomax and Jackie Simons. And we held our inaugural meeting on the 4th of November. We also we approved parking restrictions in Desi Place and in Keeley's Road. We did some Youth Development Fund contribution grants, and they were made to Linwood College for Vietnam Tour, World Salsa Solos, Auckland Schools Polyfest, and the Junior National Tag Tournament. And the board nominated Alexander Davids for the New Zealand Community Board's Executive Zone 5 position, and this was supported by several other boards. The board approved the terms of reference for the Greening the East Working Party and appointed Alexander Davids, Michelle Lomax, Jake McClellan and myself as the board representatives. The Inner City East Revitalization Project are also putting 3 members of their group onto it, and so they're deciding who they are. There's no Part A recommendations from our board this time. Significant council projects in our area. The Te Ara Ihutai Coastal Pathway, Rapa Nui Shag Rock to the Surf Lifesaving Club section, was recently completed and opened on Saturday the 23rd of November. And the board congratulates the trust, the council and the contractors on the opening of this section of the pathway, and we look forward to having the pathway section from Monks Bay to Rapa Nui Shag Rock completed as well. Next slide. The consultation for the Linwood Public Transport Hub closed on the 4th of November 2019, and we do have people wondering why we don't have a nice comfortable waiting place to sit in our board area for that transport hub like they have in Riccarton. And where else do they have that one? No, they have that other one. Can't remember the other place. Yeah. Significant community council projects. Greening the East and the Pāwaho to Ihutai projects are our key board projects for this term. 2 very big projects. The Ihutai to Pāwaho project is also known as the Lower Heathcote River Plan. Phillips Town Community Hub. The Phillips Town Community Hub Centre Charitable Trust, or PCCCT, operates out of the former Phillips Town School. And since it opened at the beginning of 2015, it has provided a home base for 11 community organisations, all of whom offer a lot of activities and opportunities for the local area. It provides a community venue which is used by community groups, and I think it's used by about 55 different groups. They came and presented to our board, and they're wondering what is going to happen to them when the government decides that they want to sell off that land, like they will in about 2021, is it? 20. And so the board has requested staff advice on the requirements for a feasibility study and business case for the new a new community facility if the government takes back the land there where that one is, and we'd like that reported back by the February meeting. Next one. The Breeze Walking Festival had a lot of events in our area as well as in coastal Burwood. We had preschooler walks, like going on a bear hunt, Pukeko Stomp, the Gruffalo, and they were very popular. And there was some guided walks there as well with CCC Park Rangers, and they were very popular. That's that one, that's the right one. And I think the first event on that one, can you go back a slide? Mm-hmm. Go back, yeah. The first event from the Breeze Festival is the Dog's Day Out, and this is where about 300 people and about 200 of their four-legged friends go on a walk through the red zone, and they have stalls and dog treats and activities all along the way. It's very popular, that one. Next slide. Yeah. And then on the 13th of October, we had the Ihutai Coastal Pathway Adventure, and this is a self-guided walk from Scott Park and Ferrymead to Scarborough Park, and it saw about 140 people walking or scootering along the new coastal pathway, completing a treasure hunt along the way. It was very popular, that one. We've had a lot of people in Bromley area complaining about heavy traffic and speeding in their local streets. So the board and staff held a community workshop down at Bromley Centre with the Bromley residents on the 12th of November, and the residents aired their issues on these problems. The board has discussed the issues that were raised and are seeking staff advice, and the board will be reporting back to this community early in the new year. The board had a briefing with our traffic engineer regarding speed management areas, because we do get a lot of people coming in asking if their local streets could be made, could have traffic going at a lower speed. So we had a list of areas that have come up, and we added some more ones that have come in since. So we'll be looking at these in terms of lowering the speeds in those areas. And just go back a slide, please. Sorry. Regarding our progress against the community board plan, the board have held one planning session already, and we have another one scheduled for January. No, next slide. And lastly, we'd like to acknowledge and thank Bruce Coleman for the work that he's done as a community development advisor, and we wish him well on his upcoming retirement from our board. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Thanks very much for that, and thank you for the acknowledgement too, for a staff member, good service. Thank you. Do people have any questions? Yanni?
There was one thing that the board discussed that's not in the report, on the council report from the board minutes, but I just wondered if you could maybe make council aware of that around the report around the election processes that we'd asked to come back around voter turnout.
I'm sorry, you raised this issue at the board, and they said we'll be receiving a report on this sometime soon. Now, you must know this because it would come to council.
No, it hasn't. So.
Well, you're raising it in the wrong forum then.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Well spotted. Happy to move, Jake. Seconded by Yanni. And Yanni, speak to it.
So it's really interesting. We just had a really good Ombudsman's report around transparency, and part of the problem when we've got board minutes that don't come to council is you don't see what the board discusses in things like Part C. So I would have actually thought that this was the appropriate place for that to be recorded, and that is the board has requested that the council report be presented to the board. This is particularly relevant to our board area. We've got both the Central and Linwood ward, which are two of the lowest voter turnout areas in the city, and there was a lot of concern at the low voter engagement and participation. So I think it's actually quite important that at some stage council gets information around what we do to address that issue. We talk about community engagement and civics participation, and I think voter turnout is a really clear signal of where sometimes we need to look at what we're doing and see how we can improve. So I'm happy to receive this report today. I do think we need to make sure that you can have visibility of the board minutes where there's things that are discussed that are relevant to council. So I totally reject that it was inappropriate to have that disclosed today.
Oh, well, I'm now going to speak to the report, and I'm really sorry to do this, Sally, because you've made such a really good presentation about all of the activities of the board. And I guess in light of what has been said, I just want to give you an absolute reassurance to you as a board, and also to all of the other boards that are still here this morning, that the council as a whole is going to be receiving a report, and we will be receiving a report that will have some analysis of the voter turnout, comparisons over previous years, dating back to the previous time that we changed the actual voting system, which was something that central government did when voter turnout got to these levels, having been at these levels when it was a turn-up vote, on the day. And so we moved to a postal ballot back in the day, and we went up from 40% to 50%, and now we're back at 40%. So actually there is an issue about voter turnout in local body elections. It will also look at a comparison between other councils around the country, because we actually do know what generates the highest level of voter turnout, and it is the degree of competition in the mayoral debate and the mayoral election. And we know that when there is a hotly contested mayoral vote, the returns go up. We haven't had a sufficiently hotly contested mayoral vote, so maybe we'll have to have one of those at some stage in the future.
Thank you.
We will also need to make sure that we are looking at whether the methods of voting are sufficient. But as I have said on a squillion occasions, getting the voter turnout isn't enough, because if one looks at not just the report that was just released, but actually reports that have been made over time, and that is in relation to how our residents feel about how they can participate in decision making, then actually it's turning up during the course of a term that matters probably even more than voter turnout. So
Thank you.
there's all of those issues to deal with.
Thank you, Leanne. We were made aware of this report that was going to come to council, and our recommendation from that was that could the community board see it as well.
We will
which is what
absolutely
Leanne has just
circulate
said.
it to all of the community boards and get.
And
We'll get a response back from all of the community boards before
we don't put everything into
we
this
consider
report.
the report as a
There's
whole.
so much stuff that gets left out, but we assume that our actions will be acted on.
You absolutely will be. Yep. All right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you very, very much.